Welcome to the St. Charles County Correspondent. I'm Sam Saffa. I'm joined with Noah Brand. I'm in Wentzville. Noah's in O'Fallon. Noah, we got a lot to get to today, but first, here's my question to you.
Mm.
Is your license plate expired?
Oh, Sam, man, what a scary question, you know? The license plate and the tail lights, it's sometimes it's tough to remember because you're not always looking at those things. Mine aren't, Sam. Are yours?
That and
You're a two-car household, Sam. I'm a humble one-car household. It's pretty easy
the
to take care of.
it seems like every year I'm off to the DMV. I can say that both of our cars are legal for driving. We got those taken care of. But the other thing that scares me are the blinkers. You just never know. That's why when I
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
Valvoline, they always have you push the brakes, turn the blinkers on, and they take care of all that for you. But here's why I bring that up, Noah. Our top story today, it's new. St. Charles is cracking down on expired temp tags. These are the vehicle registration requirements from the state of Missouri.
I get it, Sam. I mean, it's like sometimes, especially on social media, you'll see people post these cars with temp tags that like expired, like 3 years ago.
Well, there's Charlie Brennan back before he retired on KMOX would take pictures and post these on Twitter constantly. Folks that had them 19, 20, 2020, 2021. I saw one downtown St.
Hilarious.
Louis that was like at least 90 days expired. And they're just driving. But I want to clarify this. No,
With
this is
people
just,
with the years, Sam, how do they get by? I mean, I get it. I get this, you'll tell us more about the story, that they're cracking down on it. But it's just like, I mean, I feel like I pass cops on the road every day, like
yeah.
how are these people not getting pulled over?
Yeah, I don't know. It could be, cost benefit type of thing. Is it worth pulling someone over for something as small as a license plate expiration thing? But this is just in the city of St. Charles. So if you're in Wentzville, O'Fallon, you're in St. Peters. This isn't a county
Keep
police thing.
driving on that expired tag.
That's not what we're saying here. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying that you're probably safe. This isn't a county thing. This is a city thing. It's draw the distinction there. Dan Borgemeyer said, the mayor said, if you're in St. Charles and you have a temp tag, you will be pulled over. There are no exceptions to this. And frankly, I support this.
Controversial, Sam. Really controversial take, but I support it too. I definitely think that what's a normal temp tag given when you buy a car? 30 days,
I think 30 days.
60
You have to
days,
pay sales
30
tax on
days.
it,
Yeah, I
which
think it could be 60 days. I think it
Missouri
could be 2 months.
Missouri is a tough state because we have to pay the sales tax
Yes.
30
Yep.
days later, and it's usually like $1,000, $1,500, depending on how much your car is. But a newer car
Mm-hmm.
that costs $30,000, which isn't a nice car. It's a very nice new car, but it's not a BMW. It's certainly
It's
not
not a
a used one.
Mercedes Benz.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
paying even more. But it can range from a couple $100 to over 1,000. And look, Dan
And then you also
Borgmeier's
pay
done.
personal property tax in your car every year.
That's right. Dan Borgemeier's done. He's had enough. Um, so that's something to
Sam,
keep in
but
mind.
before we move on to our next story, just a little addendum. I think to last week, maybe the week before, but we talked about the county executive's plan to put $20 million into the local roads. Right, that has just taken a step forward. The county council on Monday night of this week, right? So that would be the 13th. They voted to approve it. So that plan is moving forward. $20 million towards the county roads mostly to fix potholes.
Great. And as we talked about, the listeners will recall, you can submit your own locations. Where do you want your pothole fixed? Right in front of your house? Maybe. It has to be a county road, I think. But if you have a county road near you and you want it fixed, go to the St. Charles County website and submit your request. Um, Speaking of the county council and on votes, Noah, the St. Charles County Council is considering a bill to add school resource officers to elementary schools. Now, the first question in your mind, Noah, is, well, don't they have school resource officers in schools already? The answer is yes. Nearly all middle school and high schools have them, but some elementary schools here in St. Charles County, they don't. So Elman is proposing using more federal relief dollars that came down probably through ARPA. It's not clear where it's coming from, but it's federal dollars to spend to pay for school resource officers. And I did a little looking just to refresh my mind on what a school resource officer is. It's a sworn law enforcement officer with arrest powers who works either full or part-time in a school setting. And according to federal databases, 91% of these folks are armed.
Wow. Yeah, I mean it's a good thing to have them there. I just read a story that we can link to. I think it happened last week of an Alabama school resource officer shooting and killing a guy who was trying to enter a school who was doing some suspicious activity. So I don't know if much has been released on if they've sort of figured out if that guy was armed or if he had a motive to commit harm. But no harm was committed except on the suspect. So I think these school resource officers can make a difference. Because I think we hear, unfortunately, a lot about how in some of these really horrific cases, right, the school resource officer was unfortunately not a deterrent or effective at neutralizing some of these mass murderers. But I think that they make a difference overall.
Well, there's something I think everybody in the nation can get behind, and that is more security at our schools of every size and of every age. Middle school and high school, they're already there for us. The article says several elementary schools don't have it. Elman said that this would be funding for a year, and if there's positive feedback, St. Charles County would find money to keep these folks on staff. This comes in the wake, of course, of the Texas shooting at Robb Elementary School. And so this bill was read first. I think that's how you do it in a legislative session. You have to introduce a bill. It has to be read. It has to be submitted into the record. Then they consider it. Then they vote on it. So this is just a preliminary reading, but this is something else that the county is considering. And we've got a large budget. This is stuff that, with the windfall from the federal government, look, keeping our kids safe seems to be a good policy.
Yeah, agreed. Hope it's hope none of these school resource officers ever have to be used for anything more than busting up a few local fights. But glad they're gonna be there, Sam. Sam, I mean, you got to intro us into this. This is what I've been really waiting for. This whole 7 minutes has just been introduction for me to this story, which is a great conversation going on among the community about jobs for teenagers, jobs for 16-year-olds.
Yeah, you say it's a robust conversation. No joke. Okay, so in the what's going on in O'Fallon Facebook page, which if you're not a member of, you don't have to live in O'Fallon. You just need to be a part of it. It's like 22,000 members and growing. Basically, this has become the go-to spot for anything that's happening in St. Charles County. Chris says last week, he says, any suggestions on jobs for a 16-year-old other than McDonald's that pays $15 an hour? And 348 comments later, the argument and the conversation has shifted more towards helping Chris find his son a job. And it's become more of a debate. Do teenagers even deserve $15 an hour?
Do they deserve anything, Sam? Yeah, no, that's what people are. That's what people are arguing about. I mean, especially it's like I remember, for older folks, it must be really freaky seeing that the starting wage these days in many places is $15 an hour, right? Because it's like I'm sure they can look back. Because even some of my first jobs, I think that they were $7 an hour or $8 an hour. And right, the Missouri minimum wage I think is still $7.25, or maybe it's been raised a little bit. But yeah, the prevailing wage these days, right, which is more important because the minimum people always talk about the minimum wage. The minimum wage is just like an arbitrary number the government sets, which says you can't pay below this. But it's a good thing that in many ways that the prevailing wage, like the minimum wage that people will actually work for, is significantly higher. Like I haven't seen anyone hiring at below $10, and most people are hiring at 15 or even higher.
Yeah. Well, it's a good point. My first job, $7.25. I remember it pretty well. But
Yep.
let me read you a couple of these comments, Noah, and you can jump in here too. But just a sampling, a smattering, if you will. Jen says, no. Have your children start out the same way the rest of older Americans had to, at the bottom, which will teach them the value of the dollar. Why does a 16-year-old even deserve $15 an hour? Uh, Robert followed up with that.
You see the
Say it
problem with
loud.
that comment. The problem with that comment is that that is the bottom of the ladder. Now that's what they don't understand. It's like that's for most of these places. That's literally the starting wage.
Tony says, when I turned 16, minimum wage was $5.15 an hour. No 16-year-old should be making more than minimum wage, in my opinion. It's okay to have a job. It teaches them responsibility and keeps them out of trouble. But for bleep's sake. They should be enjoying their life and teen years. They have the rest of their life to work.
Sam, there's a lot of economic illiteracy on this Facebook page. People don't understand the minimum wage versus wage that people will work for. You
Well,
know,
Pat says, I guess kids think there is good to go to work fast food for $15 an hour. Hospitals don't pay that much for housekeeping. Trish says $15 an hour for 16-year-old is probably a stretch. I don't know what the pay is, but Dirty Dogs is hiring, which I assume
dirty
is
dogs.
a you're a dog owner, Noah. Do you take Sandy to get washed?
I assume Dirty Dogs is like a motorcycle bar. Yeah, no, I joke. Yeah, Dirty Dogs. It sounds like it might be a dog washer. We go to a great local place right here in O'Fallon called Bandanas and Bows
Nice.
when we wash
Well, we'll have to give them a
our
review.
sweet
We
dog.
should do a story on these
Sam,
guys.
we should. They do great work. What would have been, maybe it was a job you had, but what would have been your dream job at 16?
Well, before I answer that, I got to read one last comment. We'll leave it on this. Brandon says, I wouldn't pay my own 16-year-old $15 an hour.
I truly don't understand these comments, Sam, because these are the same comments that are people being like, it took me a half an hour to get my Taco Bell, or like, the pools aren't open because there's no lifeguards. I'm so ticked off. And like, I'm really sympathetic to those because like the labor shortage does make life less pleasant. But the solution to the labor shortage is, paying people more. So it's kind of tough. It's tough for me to take seriously the people who are upset about a 16-year-old making $15 an hour. If a 16-year-old is willing to work serve these jobs, then it's like, thank you. Like, we need people to work.
Yeah, there's no doubt that there's a labor shortage in the country, and we see it here in St. Charles County, frankly. To your question, though, about
These pools, man, these pools we keep covering about, like, they're literally, some of them are completely closed. All of them are cutting hours. The two in St. Charles City has said you need to be a resident. These aren't for fun. They don't want to be making these decisions. They're literally because they cannot find enough staff to fully operate them the way they have every other summer since forever. Like, this is a thing. And I think a big part of that is that there are less teenagers who want to work. So if you're a 16-year-old who actually wants to go work, then yeah, let's pay you. Let's pay you. Get out there and work so things can be open.
And a lot of these places, I mean, I don't know if some of these corporations have a minimum age requirement. Perhaps they do, but I know that Target and Starbucks specifically, their benefits for folks with no education or coming out of high school are great. Starbucks provides a 401k, a Spotify premium account. They also will help pay for your college. I've had a lot of friends who have had a good experience working for Starbucks, and it seems like these non-tangible benefits are only increasing, which will help our teenage friends. But my dream job, I think I had it. I mowed lawns for 7 years, from the time I was 14 to, into my 20s. And it was a great job. I love being outside. It was good money too. I think I made more than the minimum wage all 7 years I did it. But great job. I really enjoyed it.
Good. You were. I think today those would be called a lawn artist. You were a lawn artist.
I just was watering my grass earlier.
And just so you know, Sam, you're working as a lawn artist. That's an expression of free speech, and it's protected by the First Amendment.
I will never refer to myself ever as a lawn artist, but it's good to know that that's what you consider me. Noah, what was your dream job?
Well, I don't know if this was actually when I was 16. I worked at my parents' business and I taught piano lessons, but this may not have been my dream job at 16, but now looking back, if I was, living similar, if I had my mind now, what I would have wanted to do at 16 is work at a Big Joel's Safari. Are you familiar with Big Joel's,
Is that here
Sam?
in St. Charles, or is it down 44?
It's in Wright City.
Oh my gosh.
It's in Wright City, so it's a really cool place. He's got camels and zebras and peacocks and snakes. It's like this safari park. And guess what, Sam? If you go to their page right now and you go job opportunities, Safari team member, full-time and part-time, they start hiring at 16. They're looking for them.
That would be a cool job, really. I love that.
Wouldn't it? Here's some duties. Actively engaging with the zoo's visitors, making sure they're following rules and protocols during hours, entry-level animal care, which may include feeding, watering, and enclosure maintenance. Might get to feed a
Did you see
camel.
Tiger King?
Sounds fun. Oh, I watched Tiger King.
Yeah,
Heck yeah.
that's what I'm thinking of right now.
I can tell you, I know Joel though. I know Big Joel. He's a very scrupulous business owner. I'm sure all of his pins are up to regulation. He does a great job because Sam, the way that I actually know Big Joel is not when I was 16, but when I was 18 maybe. I worked at Six Flags St. Louis one year doing their Christmas show where I was one of the wise men who rode, and I was the wise man who rode a camel to, greet baby Jesus. And the person who came and supplied the camel was Big Joel of Big Joel's Safari. So great guy.
Wow, that took so many turns.
You want to know the
That
camel's
took
name,
so many
Sam?
turns. I don't even know. Okay, Noah, this has been a great show.
Clarence.
This has
Clarence
been a
is his
great
name.
show. Let's wrap this show up. Let's end this show with something that's making us smile. I'm going to start, Noah. We've been working really hard on a new, fresh look for the St. Charles County Correspondent. We've been working on this project for 90 days now, 3 months.
So
After
beautiful.
we reached a year, we're like, okay, the next step for this organization is to actually build a website. Right now we're using Substack. We're still using Substack for our newsletter. Please subscribe to our newsletter. It's very helpful, I think. But we're also now going to have our own website. We've started our YouTube channel. We've started our podcast. We've had our podcast running. So this is really a way for us to take our business to the next level. We're incorporated now, and really, I think by the 4th of July, we should be 100% new look, new, so fresh, so fresh. This will be us in a few weeks here. So looking forward to that. And that's what we've been doing. And it's making me smile. It's looking good.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Sam. No, that's a great thing. It's going to be a truly gorgeous resource. And it's making me smile. I'm gonna just that's because you took mine. So I'm gonna also say it. But I'll say it for a different reason. The new website's going to be terrific. It's going to be easier to navigate, right? Easier to sort of look in an archive. And I'm excited for whoever it is, for whether it's students trying to find an archive of things that's been going on in St. Charles County, maybe new residents who are thinking of moving to the county and they're looking at what goes on or what the different towns are like. It's going to be a lot easier. It's not just going to be sort of an endless scroll down, which is what our current website is on Substack. It's going to be a lot easier to see not only the things that we're just publishing ASAP this week, but things that we've recently published in the last few weeks, months, and years. So it's going to be an awesome thing when it's fully ready.
We're excited. We've had 100 and almost 50,000 visitors over the last year. We're excited to double and triple that number and give you something new and easier to navigate. And hopefully it's useful to you. So this has been our video and podcast show. We do it weekly. You can find out more about us at sccc.substack.com. Soon we'll be previewing our new website. You can find us there once we reveal it in a couple of weeks. And give us a review. Drop it below. Give us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. You can send us an email. You can drop us a comment, but send us an email, scccorrespondent@gmail.com. I'm Sam Safa. I've been joined this week, as always, with Noah Brandt. Thanks for listening to the St. Charles County Correspondent. See you later, everybody.